How a 401k actually works. If you have a 401k through your job, here's a question worth pausing on. Do you actually know what's happening to that money? Most people know they're saving for retirement. Some know their employer puts in extra money, but very few understand the full picture, the tax benefits, how the employer match actually works, what happens when you withdraw early, and why not understanding this could be costing you tens of thousands of dollars over your career. Today, we're opening the hood on a 401k completely from scratch, with real 2026 numbers straight from the IRS. First, what is a 401k? The name comes from Section 401k of the U.S. Tax Code, not the most exciting origin story. But here's what matters. A 401k is an employer-sponsored, tax-advantaged retirement plan that you fund by contributing a set percentage of your paycheck before it hits your bank account. Think of it as a dedicated savings lane that sits between your salary and your spending money. A portion of every paycheck gets diverted into this lane, and the government rewards you for doing it with a tax break. There are two main types, a traditional 401k and a Roth 401k. They work the same way mechanically, but they handle taxes differently. We'll cover both. But first, let's understand the core mechanics, because this is where most people have real gaps. Part 1. How contributions work and the tax benefit. With a traditional 401k, your contributions come out of your paycheck before income tax is applied. So if you earn $70,000 a year and contribute $10,000 to your traditional 401k, the IRS only taxes you on $60,000 of income that year, effectively lowering your tax bill right now. The money grows tax-deferred inside the account, and you pay income tax on it when you withdraw in retirement. A Roth 401k flips this. You contribute after tax, so you don't get the upfront break, but qualified withdrawals in retirement are entirely tax-free, including all the growth. To be a qualified withdrawal, the account generally needs to be at least 5 years old, and you need to be 59 and a half or older. The choice between traditional and Roth comes down to one question. Do you expect to be in a higher or lower tax bracket when you retire? Higher bracket later, Roth usually wins. Lower bracket later, traditional usually wins. Either way, both are powerful. A new 2026 rule worth knowing. Starting in 2026, if you earned more than $150,000 in FICA wages in 2025, your catch-up contributions must be made as Roth, meaning you can no longer make those extra contributions on a pre-tax basis. This affects higher earners specifically, and it's a significant change introduced by the Secure 2.0 Act. Part 2. The employer match, and why missing it is expensive. Here's the part most people underuse. According to Fidelity, which services 26,800 plans as of March 2026, more than 85% of 401k plans offer some type of employer contribution. That means the majority of people with a 401k have access to free money, and many aren't taking full advantage of it. The most common formula works like this. Your employer matches a portion of what you contribute, up to a set percentage of your salary. A typical example is 50 cents on every dollar you put in, up to 6% of your pay. According to 2026 industry data, the average employer match works out to around 4% to 6% of salary, with an average in the mid 4% range across most plans. Let's make that concrete. If you earn $80,000 a year and your employer offers a 50% match up to 6% of your salary, contributing 6%, which is $4,800, means your employer adds $2,400 on top. To get that full $2,400, you need to put in at least 6%, put in less, and your match shrinks proportionally. Put in more, and the match stays capped at 6% of your salary. As of March 2026, 18% of employees overall in Fidelity Service plans increased their contribution rate, with Gen Z at 20% and millennials at 18%. That's encouraging, but it still means the majority haven't changed their contribution level, and some may not be getting the full match. Part 3. The 2026 contribution limits and early withdrawal rules. The IRS sets annual limits on how much you can put in. For 2026, the annual contribution limit for employees who participate in 401k plans is $24,500, up from $23,500 in 2025. The catch-up contribution limit for employees aged 50 to 59 or 64 and older is $8,000 in 2026, bringing their total to $32,500. Employees aged 60 to 63 benefit from a higher catch-up limit of $11,250, bringing their total to $35,750, a provision introduced under the Secure 2.0 Act. The maximum combined contribution limit, covering both employee and employer contributions, is $72,000 in 2026, or 100% of your compensation, whichever is less. The employer match does not count against your personal $24,500 limit, but it does count toward this combined $72,000 ceiling. On early withdrawals, withdrawing from a traditional 401k before age 59, One Smart 2 triggers a 10% federal early withdrawal penalty on top of regular income tax. And the true cost of an early withdrawal often exceeds 40% of the gross amount once you factor in federal tax, state tax, and the penalty together. Let's follow two colleagues, Jade and Marcus, both 30 years old, both earning $60,000 a year in 2026. Both offered the same employer benefit, a 50% match on contributions up to 6% of salary. Jade contributes 6%, $3,600 a year from her salary. Her employer adds 50% of that, $1,800. So $5,400 total goes into her 401k every year. She invests in a diversified fund, using a 7% annual return as a commonly cited long-term historical estimate, noting that actual returns will vary and are not guaranteed. Over 35 years, her account grows to approximately $746,500 in pre-tax value. Marcus contributes 3%, $1,800 a year. His employer matches 50% of that, $900. So only $2,700 goes in each year. Same illustrative return rate, same 35 years. At 65, Marcus has approximately $373,000, also pre-tax. Same salary, same employer, same timeline. Marcus ends up with roughly half of Jade's balance. Because he contributes exactly half the annual amount, the ratio stays exactly 2.1 throughout. The total annual gap between them is $2,700, $5,400 into Jade's account versus $2,700 into Marcus's. That $2,700 annual difference, compounded at 7% over 35 years, grows to approximately $373,000. Of that annual gap, $900 is the employer match Marcus left behind, and $1,800 is the personal contribution difference. Both parts compound over time. Both parts cost him. Here's the short version. A 401k is a tax-advantaged retirement account through your employer. A traditional 401k gives you a tax break now, and you pay tax on withdrawals later. A Roth 401k means you pay tax now and take qualified withdrawals tax-free in retirement. The 2026 IRS contribution limit is $24,500 for employees under 50, higher if you're 50 or older. The combined employee and employer ceiling is $72,000. If your employer offers a match, contribute at least enough to get all of it. One important note on the numbers in today's example: $746,500 and $373,000 are pre-tax projections using a 7% illustrative return. Your actual balance at retirement will depend on your real return rate, contribution history, and which type of 401k you hold. And traditional 401k withdrawals will be taxed as ordinary income. Early withdrawals before 59.5 cost you a 10% penalty on top of income tax, often 40% or more of what you take out. Leave it alone and let the compounding work. Do you know if you're getting the full employer match on your 401k? A lot of people find out they're not once they actually check their plan documents. Drop a comment. I'd love to know where you're at. Next video, we're covering what actually happens when you miss a credit card payment. Not just your score goes down, but the full step-by-step timeline, the exact costs, and how long it follows you. Subscribe so you don't miss it.